Yeah, 모두 다 빨리 박수 쳐. 기다리지 말고 서둘러. Reason that I'm back is to feed you raps. I see that you are 배불러. So fly.
All right, Steve. Great conversation for us today. Angel Reese, the superstar of the WNBA. She's having some mental health problems, or people over social media are praying for her mental health because she's cracking under the pressure. She got into it with a Chicago Sun-Times reporter and gave him a bunch of 1- and 2-word answers, and that told him at some point that, she can't trust none of y'all because y'all twist my words. And so she's backing away from the media and claiming a little bit of victim status. And then everybody goes to social media. We praying for you, Angel. Angel, we praying for you. We just hope you survive mentally. Angel Reese wore Joker shoes. At one point said she embraced being the villain. My issue with Angel Reese is she needs to get into an honest place, and she doesn't want to be a villain. She should quit trying to be a villain. She needs to get off of Caitlin Clark's coattail and just play basketball and leave Caitlin Clark alone, and her mental health would improve, in my opinion.
So she's no longer going to be unapologetically herself? No, say it ain't so. I don't get this. When you talk about, I'm sure you've gone through this. I've gone through this. Everyone that has ever written something objectively or critical, whether it's a column or a game story or any type of feature, that whole term out of context, I'll be honest with you, and maybe I'm biased because I am from this side of the aisle as a writer/journalist. I have never gone out of my way to take anyone out of context. In fact, I take pride, and I do it the old-fashioned way. When I get quotes, I generally transcribe longhand. I don't take shorthand. I actually make sure that every single word is not only quoted correctly, but used in the proper vein or in the proper context. In fact, I've had people say, Steve, you're the first guy that's ever quoted me like accurately 100%. And here's the thing that gets me about Angel Reese. The controversial stuff that she gets into, from what I have seen on Twitter, because I don't go around reading WNBA wire stories, I'll admit it. Jason, they actually just play the full breadth of her quotes. There's nothing to take out of context. What you say is what you say. Now, maybe the Jason Whitlock and Steve Kims of the world can interpret it in any different way they want. But in terms of being in context, I don't think that has ever been an issue. And I've said for years, that whole phrase out of context is a get out of jail free card for a lot of athletes who don't like the heat and taking the accountability for what they truly said and meant.
Many athletes struggle putting themselves in context in terms of their vocabulary, their grammar, their ability to communicate is limited in a way that it's sometimes hard to understand the exact point they want to make. And it's part of the reason I speak so deliberately is because I'm trying not to be taken out of context. I'm trying to say exactly what it is I want to say. I'm trying to choose every word because I know people will, if you choose the wrong word, they will take you out of context or they will apply a meaning that you were not trying to convey. But you're right. We tend to just play the clips of Angel Reese. And so if she says that, we're not going to be denied no matter what you try to do, she may have been trying to, whoever she's talking about, no matter what you try to do, she may have been talking about someone else. I interpret it as like, she's talking about the media. She's trying to say we're trying to bring her down. Well, Angel, if that's not the case, communicate more clearly, clarify your thoughts, and quit trying to pretend like you're comfortable being this villain when you're clearly not.
Jason, one of the greatest compliments I ever got as a writer, and this had to be about 15 years ago, there's a boxer by the name of Raimundo Beltran, worked out at Wildcard Boxing, became a lightweight contender. People saw him on TV, made some money in the business. Now, he was at a very frustrated stage of his career, wasn't getting the fights. I think he had some promotional and managerial issues. Right, Wildcard Boxing, we're right near the door. So I interviewed him. I did a story about the plight of Ray Beltran. And Jason, he was just MFing everybody. He was using every expletive that he could think of. And when I wrote the story, because I was at Max Boxing, it's not like I'm at the New York Times. I could just put it all in there. I put in every F word, every MF, everything. A week later, I see Ray Beltran. He's working out at the gym. I'm about to begin my workout. And he comes right up to me and goes, "Hey, man. Hey, thank you." And I go, "What's going on, Ray?" He goes, "Man, you put all the cuss words in there." I go, "Well, you say it. I'll write it." He goes, "Oh, thank you. I wanted that. You're the first guy to ever do that." And I'm thinking, hey, anytime you want to cuss up a storm, I'm the guy for you. I'll put it all in there, word for word. You'll be quoted perfectly. Here's a theory that I have, Jason. Tell me if you agree or disagree. In the past with Angel Reese, for the most part, women's basketball is like this niche sport. And maybe she's just used to dealing with a certain people or certain media or certain followers that quote unquote look like her. They can kind of convey, like, they more relatable. In other words, they're not white. It's not a wide-ranging audience. Now that she's been thrust into this spotlight where she's not just saying stuff to people that would sympathize with their every word, who are actually going to push back and be critical, I actually think she's having a tough time with people disagreeing with her.
I think you landed on the right point. Here's what I think you were. Let me clarify what I think you're saying. I don't think there's any disagreement here. Angel Reese at LSU, when she was in Maryland, in the Big Ten and the SEC, the media that covered her basketball career, it wasn't that they looked like her, but they were all champions of women's sports.
Yeah.
And so they were going to cover Angel Reese in the game in a certain way. They were always going to be trying to sell the women's games and sell the women's players and put the best face on everything. So she's used to fawning coverage.
Yes.
Now that she's stepped in, now that Caitlin Clark has attracted Jason Whitlock and Dave Portnoy and others to this deal, and people that cover sports and talk about sports, we're not sitting around going like, hey, how can we build up women's basketball and make every women's player sound like she's Mother Teresa and the greatest thing to ever happen? And so she's stepped into reality now rather than just being, it's like a hot girl. She rarely gets told the truth. And then all of a sudden she runs into a guy that, like, no, I'm going to tell you the truth. And I've never been treated this way. People actually are holding me accountable for what I say and do. And so if you want to sit there and say, hey, I'm the reason that this audience is showing up too, there are going to be people like me and others that are going to say, well, I'm not really sure, because without Caitlin Clark, no one knows or cares anything about you, Angel Reese. And then in particular, what's happened, I want to play you this clip. Someone has put together a highlight tape making my point. Because wasn't you, I told earlier this week, Angel Reese is perhaps the most overrated player in all of sports. And now someone's put together clips helping me make my point. Have you seen, this is brutal. Watch this.
They watching 'cause of me too. Well, I can pretty much confirm that they are not. Nobody is spending their free time and hard-earned money watching Angel Reese play ping pong with the backboard. She might be the worst finisher around the rim that I have ever seen. Why she got so much hype at LSU, I will never know. You know why she has so many double-doubles? Because of plays like this. Chucks it up at the backboard with no intention of it going in. She really Andre Drummond, bro, collecting her own rebounds. She also has no right hand whatsoever. is actually the equivalent of killing Ace. They both have no right hand. Watch this again. Just indescribable. Nobody is watching Angel Reese playing patty cake with her right hand. I'll tell you that right now. Guys, this is a professional basketball player. Did I really just see her potty shot it from under the rim? I'm starting to realize she really just trying to play the villain to keep herself relevant, because outside of Caitlin Clark, she is a nobody. I don't know what she does well in the basketball court, but Walmart's about to have a stellar employee. Top shelves are going to be stocked like they've never been stocked before. One last reminder, this is a paid professional basketball player. She getting swatted more than a fly.
I'm not saying all of her shots look like that, but she's incredibly unskilled. She was a great college player because she was taller, a bit more athletic than most of the players she faced. She's now in the WNBA. She's facing equal competition, and she's getting exposed as really, really unskilled. And that's why she hates Caitlin Clark, because Caitlin Clark is actually very, very skilled. Angel Reese has none. She's an energy player. That's it. She's not a skilled basketball player, and people are starting to point that out. She's not going to like it.
Can't you just say she's doing the Moses Malone? Remember old Moses, one of your favorite big men? He'd get 18 rebounds, 7 of them from his own misses. Come on. But anyway, Jason, this is what we brought up a couple days ago. The aesthetic quality with Angel is simply not there. I'm not saying there's not a value to her game, but when you're trying to be entertained, I saw last night some highlights of Caitlin Clark. She had another really strong game. And just the way she plays, I'm going to say it, it looked like a male basketball player. The way she dribbles, she's really quick. She makes quick, decisive passes. She sees the floor, and the way she shoots. And I tell you what's happening, Jason, and you're going to be proud of me. I'm actually ashamed of myself. I actually studied these highlights, and there seems to be what I would call the Jordan effect with the audience. And I'm going to explain this. When Jordan became the worldwide icon, and especially after he came back from his foray into minor league baseball, so from 95 all the way till his last game as a Bull in 98, what I've noticed is, in watching these clips, he would go to visiting arenas, and two things would happen. Number one, the opposing fans for that night did not want the home team to necessarily win, but they wanted Jordan to score 40 to 50 points. They became Jordan fans. And it even happened with the Lakers. Trust me, I saw it firsthand. But Jordan would make like a regular routine 18-foot jumper off a curl or just a baseline fadeaway. It'd be a very routine shot, and the crowd would go nuts. And I'm thinking, like, folks, he makes 500 of these shots every month. But because it was Jordan and the way he did it, the certain flair that he had, he could make just a 15-foot fadeaway or a pull-up, and people would go nuts. And the same thing is happening with Caitlin Clark. She'll make a layup, and I've seen it, people are actually standing up applauding. And here's what's going to happen, Jason. These women that are playing with and against her, they notice this. And there's only going to be more and more built up animosity as time goes by, because I'm going to say it again. Many of those people in that arena last night and other nights and future nights, they're not WNBA fans. They're not women basketball fans. They are Caitlin Clark stans, led by Jason Whitlock.
Let me piggyback your point. I somewhat disagree about it. It's a Jordan effect, but I see why you went there. I see it as a Tiger Woods effect. And because let me unpack it. Watching someone hit a golf ball and watching a golf ball travel through the air, not very exciting. It's just not. Caitlin Clark taking shots, hitting the baskets. It's not like she hangs in the air and does all this spectacular stuff that Jordan does. It's just not that. It's not that exciting. But what you had with Tiger Woods and what you have with Caitlin Clark, every time that Tiger Woods swung that golf club and hit that white ball, you felt like you're watching history be made. Every time Caitlin Clark takes a shot, you feel like you're watching history be made. And that's what people love more than anything. That's what they take out their cell phones, and I got this image, and This is a historical moment. Tiger Woods is about to win his first major, his 8th major, his 12th major. Oh, God, I stood next to Tiger Woods. And you feel like you're watching this historical athletic figure in Caitlin Clark, and everybody wants to be a part of history. And so everything she does feels more important than everything else everybody else does. And and yes, are the women jealous of that? Because again, do women like attention? Do they want to be worshiped? You think these Yas queens don't want to be worshiped? In Black culture, it's like we preach the worship of mother and women, and they all want it. Caitlin's getting it. They're mad about it. The other point I want to make, and I'm making this point because I want us to cut it out and put it on social media. But the other thing, this is for someone that's watching every game and watching this transformation. What's going on with Caitlin Clark, she came into the league as, oh, she's Steph Curry. And this is going to look just like Steph Curry. And I'm watching her mature as a player and figure out the WNBA and figure out like, I could be Steph Curry at Iowa. But you know what? I'm going to have to be a little different than that here in the WNBA. And I'm going to call Isaiah Thomas and ask him to watch. She's turning into Isaiah Thomas. That's what I see. A great passer who can score, who's a leader, who just has incredible court vision. And it's a bit of a combination between Isaiah, Bird, and Magic. These guys could see the game and see what was going to happen better than anybody else, and they could see it 3 seconds in advance, where a good player sees it a second and a half ahead of everybody else. They see it 3 seconds. So her passing, it's anticipation is the key word here as it relates to Caitlin Clark. She anticipates what's going to happen on the court the way that Bird, Isaiah Thomas, Magic Johnson, and she incorporates scoring and passing into it. This is the reason why she's a 6-foot guard, which is, a decent sized guard, but she's averaging like 5-6 rebounds. She had 12 rebounds the other day. Yesterday,
Jason.
Her anticipation is so incredible. She knows where the ball's going to come off the glass, who's going to take the shot, and she anticipates it, and that's why she gets so many rebounds. It's incredible to watch.
The white Zeke. I've always considered Isaiah Thomas the best 6-foot and under player in the history of basketball. And I read a stat, and I don't know if it's true, but if it is, it's actually quite damning for Angel Reese. I read somewhere that Caitlin has more blocked shots than Angel Reese, so she's a better rim protector than her. That's an indictment. Now, I actually was going to go a different way. You may have swung me because of the aspect of actually sharing the ball, being a better distributor. But Jason, I believe that for Caitlin Clark to truly flourish in what would be good for Indiana and the league, that organization has to do what the Sixers did for Allen Iverson. If you go back to when Iverson was at his best in that 2001 season, they got a group of guys that sacrificed all of their games. They set screens. They didn't take shots. They knew they weren't going to get plays called for them, and they all played good defense. Now, I think you're going to have to get a shooter to pair alongside Caitlin Clark to take some of the pressure off. But she needs her version of Aaron McKee, Eric Snow, Matt Geiger, Theo Ratliff, who got traded for, who was it, Dikembe Mutombo. I'm just telling you, if I'm the Indiana Fever, I make a determination on my board. If your game does not accentuate and help Caitlin Clark on both sides of the court, you have no future here. I just completely go pro Caitlin. I make it a Caitlin system, and that coach, if you're not going to run a system that helps out her game, you're out of here. But the Isaiah Thomas one, I think might be more apt because she's much more of a ball distributor than Iverson. Iverson could be a little bit of a black hole. Let's be honest about that.
Yeah, you're going to have to take the plunge and start watching full games because what you're missing is, I'm just telling you, in terms of anticipation and shot creation, you can only compare her to other men. And you can only compare it to some of the greatest point guards and shot creators in NBA history. Her anticipation level is amazing. You have to, it's not Iverson. Iverson created shots for himself. This girl creates shots. She could make me passable on the court because she, if I just made the proper cuts, she'd hit me and give me layups. No different. She's making Aaliyah Boston so much better, making the game so easy for her. And so she needs some scorers around her because it's in her nature. She's actually a better shot creator for her teammates than she is a scorer. And I noticed this. She led the nation in assists in college. People didn't understand just how powerful that was and how significant. She's a better passer than scorer. And she's a tremendous scorer. But I'm watching her in real time, figure out, this is how I need to play in the WNBA. These girls are quicker. They're a little stronger than me. I'm not going to be able to just do what I did in college. She's adapting, and it's amazing to watch. But Steve, we're out of time. I'm going to let you go. Thank you. I think the Fever play Friday night. Be there, be square. We'll see you next time. Like what you saw? Hit that like button, subscribe, and check out the full episode by clicking the link below.